Hello and welcome. Happy Halloween. Welcome to STEMFest 2020, where you get to find your spark. With me today, I have four amazing folks with me, some STEMists, here to talk about what they have done to help find their spark and what we can do to help you find your spark. I have Teresa, give us a wave. I have Hal, I have Jasmine, and I have Adalia. Currently, or in the past, our STEMists have worked for us for NIU STEAM, and I'm happy to say that Jasmine has been with us by far the longest, and recently has taken up a job teaching STEM in Rockford. And our other three are our students' employees. So, how about a quick intro from each of us? Teresa, let's start with you. What are you studying, and what are you doing these days?
Great. Hi, I'm Teresa. I'm a senior undergraduate at NIU, and I'm a double major in computer science and electrical engineering.
Al, how about you?
Uh, Hello, I'm Hal. I am a computer science junior at NIU, and I work for NIU STEAM for about 2 years.
Adalia?
Hi guys, my name is Adalia. I'm studying biomedical engineering with a minor in philosophy and math. I'm currently a junior and
Okay. And Jasmine, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. When I was at NIU, I studied industrial management and technology, and I also received my master's in instructional technology. I'm currently a STEM teacher up in Rockford, and yeah, that's it.
Excellent. And my name is Sam. I'm a STEM educator and teacher at Marengo High School. I'll be your moderator, and ideally, I'll be very quiet as we talk. So I will open up the floor to our four STEMists and ask, we kind of talk about your fields and what you're studying or what you have studied, but I want to know why and why this interested you and kind of what drove you to those fields. First, we'll start with you.
I took a programming class my freshman year in high school, and I really liked the logic behind it, and I thought it was super fun, so I decided to major in it. And then I added on electrical engineering later on as a sophomore in college because of NIU robotics, and I learned a lot about how hardware and software work together, which is why I decided to double major.
I'll go next. So when I was at NIU, I did industrial management and technology because I really like to work with my hands, and we got to weld and we got to do machine shop. But also I like the drafting part of it, similar to Teresa. In high school, I took some architectural drafting classes, and that's where I found out about CAD, which is computer aided design or computer aided drafting. And I had a really great teacher there too, who kind of pushed me into competitions and made me learn more about it. And so once I got to NIU, I was like, oh, I kind of like this already, so let's give it a try. And then once I went on to work for STEM for 4 years, I think, those 4 years, I found out, I like to teach too. And not just like traditional classroom teaching of your readings, writings, and maths, but more of the hands-on aspect. And I got into instructional technology. Sam actually helped me get into that a little bit. So after I found out I liked to teach, I was like, why not teach technology and just combine it all into one big ball, I guess.
yeah, I kind of had the same type of experience. I just like started out with something, like started out, let's say like studying engineering, and then the ball just kept rolling with it. And I think that's why I like them, like why I went with the major to begin with, because I felt like, I can't go wrong here in a way. Um, like you get to combine so many different aspects of like every field is STEM, and it was always so interesting, or it's like always gave me something new to want to learn or to want to look into or anything like that. So I know like it's what's kept me like on the same path.
So we have electrical engineering, computer science, we have engineering technology, and we have biomedical engineering. And then Hal why don't you talk about how, well, you're not in engineering, but how you are still related to this NIU STEAM situation?
Yeah, of course. So when I started at NIU, I came in as a computer science major. Just I've always had an interest in computers, but never really been able to pursue it on my own. Instead, I pursued art. I've been a digital artist for about 10 years. So my time at NIU and my work with NIU STEAM has been a lot of uh, pursuing an interest in things, the way disciplines overlap, how digital art and computers and programming overlaps with art as a whole has kind of been where I focus. And I've done both graphic design work for NIU STEAM as well as overseeing some programming stuff for camps. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, yeah. Well, going off this multifaceted idea of STEM and STEAM, how about our other three? Tell us about how you use non-engineering things in your fields.
For example, teaching, I'll start off, sorry. For teaching, like you have to think about more than just like, for example, let's say in the STEM camps, like you would have to incorporate, a lot of skills that you need to have as foundation before you get into talking about whatever subject you're instructed to teach or anything like that. You need to know how to like manage a classroom and how to understand your students and what possible things that they might be having challenges with, and trying to oversee that. Is that I think is one thing that I think that like for sure.
I definitely agree with that. Especially with the age range I work with K through 5. So it ranges that excitement that they bring. If you don't know how to handle that, you could take it as them being off task or them, you can take it the wrong way. But it's really just pure excitement. And a lot of my students, this is their first or, first full-time experience to a STEM, hands-on activities in the classroom and learning. So they're so excited all the time that sometimes they're asking questions. It may be talking out loud, but they're answering questions, So I think you definitely have to have that classroom management and just think about it, man. The kids want to learn. They want to learn as much as they can. And, so you got to go with the flow sometimes. Flexibility, instructional flexibility is definitely the thing that I use that's not, technically engineering, but I definitely keep it in mind all the time.
I keep public speaking in mind and like who my audience is when teaching, because like teaching high schoolers and teaching middle schoolers and elementary like are completely different. So that's definitely a skill that I have developed through working with NIU STEAM.
Okay, great. Other than NIU STEAM, because I mean, we are pretty awesome, but there's so much out there at NIU. What are some other NIU experiences that you've gone through that have helped you prepare either for classes or your career or just life outside of NIU?
Do you mind if I go first?
Of course.
When I started at NIU, one of the first things I did was join the Mars rover team through the School of Engineering, just because people from my high school were in it, and I'm like, oh, I'll do this. It ended up being extremely useful. I was learning how to use Unix commands that I would later use in class 2 semesters down the line. So it gave me a huge leg up in some of my classes, as well as giving me connections that I later used to find a job, find other programs I was interested in. So yeah, the engineering clubs were a very valuable experience.
I agree with that, and similarly to how like I'm a part of the NIU Robotics Club, and I've been on the executive board for 3 years now. It's now my 3rd year. Been heavily involved since my freshman year, and like in engineering classes, you learn a lot of theoretical stuff in the classroom, and it's not really applied. But then when you like join an engineering design team like robotics, then you're actually applying the skills that you learn in the classroom. And those skills like are the skills you use actually in industry and for an actual job. So that has really benefited me a lot. And yeah, definitely this past summer in my internship at John Deere, it has really helped a lot.
I'll pick off from that. I think that what you guys said is definitely true. What I noticed too, like on just taking these classes, is that they all have to do with each other. So down maybe at the beginning, it kind of seemed very separate, but they all have to do with each other one way or another. And you start to see that, and I know you definitely will get to see that, like, you know, down the road too, like when you actually get to have to apply these things into the field. So I think that's one of those things that like kind of part of what I was talking about. So about, like, you know, it gives you a lot of doors opened that you can just, you know, try like a lot of different things, because you know so much in a sense.
I kind of went a little, of course, I didn't join a lot of actual academic clubs, but I did join some social clubs where one being NIU S-Plan. They would meet every week and they mentored incoming freshmen. And so there, speaking back to Teresa and knowing your audience, I got to encounter a lot of different experiences with different people. So people younger than me, people older than me, like even as a senior in the program, I still had a mentor, somebody that I could reach out to if I needed advice or guidance about anything. And I also had a number of mentees that like me had interests coming into school, but didn't really know exactly where those interests could take them. And so we exposed them to a lot of resources around campus, things that you don't even think about, like where do I get those yellow bikes from back when I started, like where are those yellow bikes at? So, you know, just those small questions that we, campus might miss. We kind of took over that role, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, going off that, Jasmine, how does one get involved in anything on campus, or really any campus, any college? How does one start?
I just kind of went looking, kind of like just kind of went looking around. You hear a lot of things by word of mouth on campus, and it's like, hey, come out to this program. But it goes back to like that mentorship. As I got older, it was easier for me to say, hey, come here, check out this program. I see you're in this building. Are you interested in? So it helped me open up and communicate more younger. And then it was like, I look back like, oh, these people weren't, just walking down the street talking. They were actually very valuable resources that I was lucky enough to come in contact with. So I would say, just, getting out of the dorm and checking things out, flyers, looking at the bulletin boards, things like that.
Exactly. Okay. So what is the most exciting part of your career that you're looking forward to get into? What is the thing you really look forward to for three of us when you graduate? And for Jasmine, what do you look forward to in the future? And let's go to Dahlia first.
You putting me on the spot. Yeah, because this is just so much that I feel like I want to do. I think that when you come into college and you kind of have all these dreams, like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this when I finally, graduate and accomplish like all these dreams and stuff? I think it's like one of the biggest things is just like being able to do it in general. Sometimes, like to be that sort of example for people that, never really thought that something like that was possible, or just pushing those boundaries to what they do think is possible. Because the more I feel like the more I learn, the more like, further I get to the finish line, like I only like think about what else could possibly be waiting for me, once I get into like into a lab or any type of like environment where like all that is constantly changing. That's one of the things I'm most excited about, for sure.
Especially in a biomedical field, that
for sure, yeah, exactly. Because like, I never really thought that like, so much came into play, like as far as I don't know, like what is even like allowed to be messed with, or like all that, just learning about just what type of like sciences we're able to, like where we're at and then where we're going, like all of that, just being able to work with the technology, body, and then like our own minds, like being able to think that far.
Yeah. How about Hal? What are you looking forward to throughout your career?
throughout my career, I'm probably looking forward to, this is going to sound cheesy, but to just keep learning new things and meeting new people. Because if I were to somehow be able to talk to myself from 2 years ago and to tell myself what I've learned and who I've met in the past 2 years, I don't think I'd believe it. And I just, working in just STEAM in general and the kind of outreach in general, you meet a lot of cool people and you see a lot of cool things, and I don't think I'd like that to stop.
All right, Teresa, you're on deck.
So my answer is also a little bit cliche, but kind of the reason why I wanted to pursue engineering is because it's a really, really powerful degree that can be used in like innovation and like changing the world and making a difference in the world. And that's kind of like what I'm really excited about in a career, is to be able to like help the world and make an impact.
Same type of answer, just I guess a little bit shifted more to education. I'm just excited to keep teaching new learners. It's amazing how much kids can take in and actually, understand and apply at such a young age. STEM at a young age, it might look like building blocks or putting crafts together. And it might not look, the prototype might not be the exact build, but the concepts that they are learning is what's the most important. So I'm just looking forward to keep teaching new leaders and creating those next innovators or teachers.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you 4 know, and hopefully our guests at STEMFest should have figured this out, but STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and that idea that everything is connected and interlaced is a theme throughout all of STEMFest. But I want to ask you for what are some non-STEM and STEAM things that you have to pull into your field, into your major, to make it, what it is? And Della, I'm going to pick on you last because you have a lot of things to say about that. So I'm going to go reverse order. Jasmine, you're going to go first.
A little feedback. Can we get the question again?
Sure. So these non-STEAM ideas, how do you pull those into your STEAM field?
Okay, all right, true. Okay. Especially with instructional technology, I learned a lot about that. Like Adalia mentioned earlier, classroom management. I'll take it back to classroom management. I might know the concept myself because I did the 4 years in school and I understand technology now, but explaining welding to a kindergartner and telling them this really hot metal thing that heats up and then bonds some more metal stuff, it's just not it's just not as easy as it sounds. So being able to relate to the kids is a communication skill that I take in. And we all know the myth about engineers that we can't communicate. Some might call it a myth, others may not. But they say we can't communicate. So that's definitely a non-STEAM thing that I bring to the table. Not more so about my technical skill, but more about my ability to communicate and actually be a person. And just understand, what they, their feelings. So that works.
Al or Teresa, you want to add on to that at all?
I can talk to that more. I don't have any sort of like education. I've never taken any sort of classes in that field, so getting to work with educators like Sam and Jasmine has proven very useful to kind of absorb those skills and use them for things like outreach. And I have a job where I do like computer science research, and giving presentations, it's helpful to have that education background to know how better to like relate these ideas to a more general audience. So getting to work with educators and pulling in ideas from that is quite helpful.
So you've done presentations, you're saying?
Yeah.
And this is your junior year now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you do presentations before?
Yeah, for both this summer doing research, I worked at Argonne National Lab. I would occasionally have to present to other like other groups of researchers who were doing something completely different from me, and it's like, how do I make them understand what I'm doing?
So there is research out there for undergraduates and incoming students.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
Yeah. What did you work on?
I was specifically working on like data visualization pipelines. My specific role was getting the program we use to like generate the data into like more traditional VFX programs. So I had to have the knowledge of, oh, everything good over there?
Yeah, you're good.
I had to use the knowledge of this less user-friendly, more data-driven program combined with a more art side of things, like 3D modeling programs.
Very
So
cool.
that kind of research field.
I'm going to put a pin on the research thing. I'm going to circle back to Adalia, because Adalia, there are a lot of aspects that go with biomedical engineering. And
Yeah.
you named a few as part of your minors, and I want you to hit on how all these little, your minors and some of the ethics fit into your degree.
I was thinking it in my head, and I was already gonna talk about that. That's essentially why I even joined. Like, like math kind of makes sense. When you're doing engineering, you're practically gonna end up taking most of a math minor anyways. Like, if you want to go as far as to making it a major, you probably can with not a lot of effort. But philosophy, like, opened my mind into, well, not just like, but like, it really did open my mind to basically like why people are wired the way that they are. And I think that that's also like has a lot to do with like where we're going. Is there's so much in the air with that. So I wanted to understand why people are the way that they are sometimes, like in a weird sense. And like with biomedical engineering in particular, you have to think about that a lot, because there's so much to what like people as individuals think and the way that they understand the world, and everyone as individuals have a different opinion about that. So having to know those type of skills as to how to, like, for example, how to explain things in an argument format to be able to get to a certain point, to then you just adapt that to whatever your audience is, because that's really the only way that together, even no matter with what issue, like it could be about teaching science, or it can be like a political view, you have to be able to express yourself and your argument and why you think it is. And as long as you're able to do that, like we can have a conversation, and we can get some point, we can get to learning, we can get to going places, and to like, okay, why do we need this type of device, like medical device, or why do we need this type of form of working, like all of that.
Yeah, because you also mentioned there's ethics in there and there's politics. Biomedical engineering has so many applications. Mm-hmm. We're just about out of time, and I want to give the four of you the opportunity to say last parting thoughts to our STEMFest audience about ways they can find their spark, or your past experiences, or your failures, or anything you want to say. 30 seconds each.
Okay, somebody go. Because we only got 30 seconds. So like, okay, I'll quickly say, like, just because it's so short, that I think that it's really important for everyone to just try to find their way, no matter what way it is, like, just to adapt that for you, and just not to be afraid to take that first step forward, and to try to figure out what you need as an individual, and how to find that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think what I would say in terms of finding your spark is just like, just do things. You never know what skill is going to end up being useful and how it's going to connect to something you do later on. So if you think, I don't know how this will ever help me, just give it a try anyways. Could be your spark.
Definitely to kind of piggyback off Hal, just try different things. Working here, I had never flown outside of the country. I had never flown, yet I got the opportunity to go to Tanzania, and I took it. And my first ever flight and my first ever time out of the country was a 2 8-hour flights, so 16 hours away. So just try it. You never know.
Yeah. And you had a great experience with that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually still involved with that project. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I think we're just about out of time, and there's so much we can talk about. I think with each one of you, I've talked for like an hour about all these different things, but we are out of time. So for our STEMFest attendees, I believe we'll be around before, during, and after throughout the entire day today. If you have a question, go ahead and find a moderator, and they'll help you get in touch with our 4 amazing STEMists. So thank you again to Teresa, Hal, Jasmine, and Dahlia. I look forward to talking to you more in the future, and I look forward to having our STEMFest attendees back throughout our entire day for other video sessions, and next year when we go back live. All right, without further ado, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Let's-
Bye.